Quick as a flash! Form first! Let's move!
Iansan is a 4-star Electro character from the Collective of Plenty in Natlan. She's newly released as of the version 5.5 update, and she's a popular character in the story of the game. So, how does she work? Well, Iansan primarily fills a support role on teams as an attack buffer for your damage-dealing characters. Her own damage output is not the worst in the game, but she was not designed to be able to sustain high damage output levels for longer periods, so she is best played as a supportive character. With that in mind, you want to focus on boosting the damage of your teammates as much as you can with Iansan. To do that effectively, there are 2 stats that you primarily want to focus on for her. The attack percent stat makes it so her buffs to empower other teammates' attacks become stronger. This is her main priority stat to focus on if you want to maximize the benefit she offers her party. The higher her attack stat, the stronger her buffs. In order to actually buff her party's attack power, she needs to use her elemental burst.
Full speed ahead! On my mark!
So, energy recharge is the second most important stat to focus on with Iansan. With enough energy recharge, she will be able to reliably keep her attack buff applied to her teammates over longer periods by being able to use her elemental burst frequently with little downtime. To help Iansan achieve these goals, let's look at some of her ideal weapon choices. One of her best 5-star weapons in the game is the Calamity Queller polearm. This polearm gives a very high boost overall to Iansan's attack stat, especially when she is off the field. This is perfect for her because when your DPS character is active on the field, this is when Iansan's attack buff will be active, and it will fully be able to benefit from the weapon's extra attack boost. Another excellent 5-star weapon for her is the Engulfing Lightning polearm, which gives an abundance of both energy recharge and attack. This is a great choice because it provides both of the crucial stats that Iansan benefits from in the same weapon. Looking at 4-star weapon options, the recent limited time event exclusive Tamayurete no Ohanashi polearm that was released in version 5.4 is a great fit for Iansan. It boosts her energy recharge stat and also gives her a temporary buff to both of her attack and movement speed every time she uses her elemental skill. If you happen to miss out on that event-exclusive weapon, a more accessible 4-star choice for Iansan that you can get from wishing on banners is the Favonius Lance polearm. This weapon gives a high amount of energy recharge, which will help Iansan get her elemental burst more frequently. If you find yourself without any of these options, you can also try more readily available polearms, such as the Catch, which you can get from fishing in Inazuma, Prototype Star Glitter, which is a 4-star craftable polearm, or even the 3-star Halberd would benefit Iansan. Essentially, any polearm weapon that adds either energy recharge or attack percent stats will be a helpful weapon for her to wield. Let's look at beneficial artifact sets for her next. Generally speaking, Iansan's best artifact set is going to be the Scroll of the Hero of Cinder City. Not only does it help her regenerate energy more easily, but with the full benefits of equipping 4 pieces of the set, it also increases the damage output that her teammates will be able to do whenever Iansan triggers an elemental reaction. However, in the event that you already have another character in her same party that is equipped with the Scroll of the Hero of Cinder City artifact set, the benefits do not stack with multiple wielders of the set on the same team, so you may wish to choose an alternative for Iansan. In such cases, the Noblesse Oblige artifact set is another great alternative for her to use. With 4 pieces of this set equipped, it offers a simple and straightforward boost to the entire party's attack stat whenever Iansan uses her elemental burst. But again, make sure there is not another character on her team already using this set, as its benefits do not stack with multiple wielders either. You can also take an alternative approach, such as equipping 2 pieces from 2 different artifact sets that give bonuses to attack percent and or energy recharge as another viable means of providing stat boosts that Iansan can benefit from. An easier alternative to gather for newer players would be the Exile artifact set. This set gives a nice boost to energy recharge, even with just 2 pieces, and the 4-piece set helps give Iansan's teammates a boost to their energy recharge too. As far as the stats to focus on for the individual artifacts, for the Sans artifact piece, you can choose either attack percent or energy recharge for its main stat. It's a good idea to base this choice around how much energy recharge Iansan has from her weapon and other artifacts. If it feels like she struggles to get her elemental burst often enough to keep her party's attack enhanced, you will probably benefit most from the extra energy recharge boost. Otherwise, you may prefer to focus on boosting her attack percent further instead, which increases her buffing capabilities more directly. For the Goblet artifact, the choice is simple. You want to use an attack percent main stat. There is really no reason to deviate from this in a typical situation. For the Circlet, most likely you would be best served choosing attack percent as the main stat for this piece as well. Keep in mind that Iansan benefits by having as high of an attack stat as possible. Although if you wish to increase Iansan's personal damage output, you might consider crit rate or crit damage main stats instead, while making sure you also have an attack percent substat on the Circlet as well. As for the flower, plume, and the remaining artifacts substats, here again you want to prioritize attack percent and energy recharge stats, keeping in mind that the substat will never match the main artifact stat, so you will not get attack percent substats on any artifacts that already have an attack percent main stat. As far as her constellations go, fortunately, Iansan is a character that doesn't really require unlocking them to be effective. This means that even a single copy of her from the banners is enough to benefit your entire team. So you don't have to worry about needing 5 or 7 copies of her just to feel like she's performing well. However, with that said, if you do get her constellations unlocked with multiple copies from wishes, like with any character in the game, she becomes even more effective and capable. Her first constellation eases some of her energy recharge requirements. Her second constellation further increases the amount of attack boost that her buff gives teammates, and her fourth and sixth constellations increase the amount of time that she can stay in her Night Soul Blessing state, as well as the length of time that her elemental burst will last. These are all very beneficial bonuses for her to have, but for Iansan they are completely optional. For some characters in the game, unlocking certain constellations is essential to enable a particular playstyle or a level of effectiveness in battles, but Iansan is great right from the start, even with no constellations. So how do you actually play as her? Iansan's main benefit for her team is the attack stat buff that she provides, and that comes from using her elemental burst. The strength of her buff is based on her own attack stat and also ties into the Night Soul mechanic. Her Night Soul points being higher equals a stronger buff, and in order to raise her points, your active character besides Iansan herself has to move around on the field. The more movement your active character performs, the more Night Soul points Iansan will have, and thus the greater the attack buff she will provide. What this essentially means is that DPS characters with a high degree of active movement on the field will be the most effective in triggering and sustaining the maximum attack buff from Iansan's elemental burst. That said, her elemental burst buff can benefit any damage-dealing character that needs an attack boost, even if they don't move around much. You'll know when you are receiving the maximum attack buff from Iansan's burst when the special icon that appears on the screen changes from the skull that she wears on her headband to Iansan's face with double exclamation points next to it. Iansan's elemental skill has her leap forward and slam back down to the ground, doing electro damage in a radius and restoring some of her energy gauge. You can use this to effectively deal damage with Iansan directly and as a means to more quickly use her elemental burst to buff her teammates. An ideal approach for playing Iansan looks something like this. Start by using her elemental skill to enter the Night Soul's blessing state. Then use her normal attacks and her charged attack, which will perform her special plunging attack. When Iansan has gained enough energy, activate her elemental burst. Then switch out to another party member to deal increased damage from her attack buff that the elemental burst provides. It will be especially potent if that character is able to move quickly around the field using their attacks. What do you need to level Iansan? For her Ascension materials, Iansan needs the whistle items from enemies in Natlan. To get her to level 90, you'll specifically need 18 of the Sentry's wooden whistles, which are the gray 1-star drop, 30 of the Warrior's metal whistles, which is the green 2-star drop, and 36 Saurian-crowned Warrior's golden whistles, which are the blue 3-star drops. Her field boss item is the Ensnaring Gaze, which you will need 46 of from defeating the Tenebrous Papilla boss to reach level 90. And her exploration material is a new local specialty item from the Collective of Plenty called Dracolite. She'll need a total of 168 of these to reach the current max level of 90 in the game. For her talent materials, Iansan uses the contention items from Natlan, which only appear on Mondays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Her weekly boss drop is Denial and Judgment from the Knave battle in Fontaine. You'll need these to level her talents beyond level 6. As far as how high to level each talent and which to prioritize, her elemental burst is going to be her most important asset, so this should be your first focus for talent leveling. The higher this talent level gets, the greater her ability to buff her teammates will be. I would recommend getting this talent to at least level 8 if you have progressed enough in the game to have Iansan at level 90. Her elemental skill would be the second priority focus if you are interested in increasing Iansan's personal damage that she can do with her skill. How high you want to take its levels is up to you. If you plan to use Iansan on the field a bit, you may also want to level her normal attack talent, as this also helps increase her personal damage. But it is the least important of her 3 talents in terms of the buffs she provides. In cases like this, I usually prefer to stop around talent level 4, or sometimes level 6. That way, a character can at least do some damage with their normal attacks, but not too many resources are wasted on a talent that they are not using very often either. It is entirely up to you to decide based on how you like to play. You could even leave this talent at level 1 and focus entirely on her burst for buffing capabilities, and it would still work out fine. What teams and characters does Iansan fit best with? The new character Veressa, who debuted alongside Iansan in version 5.5, is a good pair with her, as are other high mobility characters from Natlan like Mawika and Kanich, or other mobile characters like Chao and Gaming. These characters can make the most of her buffs and keep them sustained at a maximum for longer periods thanks to their high rate of mobility. In general, you will need DPS characters that benefit from an increase in their attack stat, like Clorand, Tartaglia, Ayato, Raiden, Diluc, or Eula, just to name a few examples. If your main damage dealer works off of another stat instead, like HP or defense, Iansan's buffs will not be as beneficial, so keep that in mind. She is very flexible, as most damage dealers in the game will benefit from the attack percent boost that her buff provides, even if they are not very mobile on the field, and she can fit into a wide variety of different teams. She can do great in any kind of elemental reaction focus team, including Superconduct for physical damage focus, so you are not restricted in this way with Iansan. For sub-DPS role characters to pair with Iansan, she goes well with off-field damage dealers like Farina, Emily, Auroran, Nahida, Fischl, or Yaimiko. Citlali and Jalonin are 2 other characters from Natlan specifically that will work great alongside Iansan as sub-DPS or other supportive roles on the team. But she also works great with other supports too, like Bennett, Chevres, Baiju, Xianyun, Kazuha, Sucrose, and more. Overall, her teams can be very flexible, and the main thing to consider is that her DPS teammates can benefit from her attack stat buff. Other than that, you are free to put her pretty much anywhere. Finally, some special things to note. Iansan can heal the active character once her second passive talent is unlocked after level 60. However, this healing is not strong or frequent enough to be fully reliable in sustaining your party's HP levels, so you can just consider this an added bonus that can help in a pinch, but it is not enough to make her into a formidable healer on her own. Iansan has a special dash that she can use to break through obstacles, move rapidly across terrain, and even tread on top of water. This is most effective in Natland, where she can use the region's special phlogiston mechanics to lengthen the duration of her special sprint. In Natland, when she drops below 50% of her phlogiston levels, she automatically restores 10 phlogiston points, which will help sustain the dash even further, and this restoration can occur once every 10 seconds. Something you will want to be careful for while Iansan is on the field is her stamina levels. Even with her ideal rotation, her stamina can drain remarkably quickly, especially if you are also using her special sprint to dash around the battlefield. If you run out of stamina, you won't be able to perform her charged attacks, and that will slow down her energy recharge, potentially thwarting her usual preferred attack rotation. So just be extra mindful of stamina levels when you're using Iansan on the field. Iansan is a fantastic support buffer character that is flexible in her team compositions and fully capable even without Constellations. Despite being a 4-star character, she outperforms even some 5-stars in her respective role as an attack buffer for the team, and will be a valuable character to have on your team in Genshin Impact. If you enjoyed this character guide and would like to see more of them in the future, leave a like, feel free to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and maybe comment below and let me know what character guide you would like to see next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Oh.